was Muslim population, whereas the remaining 75% of the population was. So when the British decided to left India, they said that the two nations cannot live together. This means the nation of Hindus not live together. So for a political settlement, they decided to bifurcate India into two parts. Where the Hindus were living in India, all migrated from. That was the major, the division. It's called subcontinent because we have sheer size of from north to this point, from here, no, from top to bottom. It's a distance, I cannot measure exactly the form of distance, but I can tell you that it is a 4 hours flight from north to south. At that time, the total population was about 360 million at that time. And out of that, 24% was the Muslim population. Next. When 1947, the Party took place, 10 million crossed the borders. So the problem which was arisen at that time, that how they basically decided that India should be divided on a political dimensions, and wherever the Muslims are in a majority area, that area would become. This state is Hyderabad. And Hyderabad has been another Muslim majority state in Indian center. And then if you go up here, there is a big, huge territory by the name Kashmir. It was also a Muslim majority state. So overall, the Muslims were spread in India along with the Hindu population. Understand? This is a general introduction of Pakistan that on 14th August we came into being, and then the area is this much. Current population is 230 million. Whereas in this 230 million, 95% are Muslim, and 3% are Christians, and 2% are Hindus. And the remaining very small fraction may not be less than 0.5% are Sikh people. I don't know, you know the Sikhs or not? Yeah. And Pakistan has 4 provinces with this area of almost 100,000 square kilometer. Punjab, Sindh, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Balochistan, Gilgit-Baltistan, and Kashmir. And I mentioned here that India and Pakistan's neighbors are China, India, Afghanistan, and Iran. And we have a seaport of 1,000 kilometers long on the sea. This is the general perspective about the economic health of the country. It's 230 million people, but with a GDP of $336 billion. So we are smaller in terms of Mexico in the world. And next. So this is a general preview of what is Pakistan. It's the 5th largest country in the world by terms of population, and the 9th nuclear power in the world, 7th largest standing army, located at a very important geostrategic location, a major regional power, meaning regional power in South Asia. Pakistan and India are introduced each other. You know, the Indians and Pakistanis. So in South Asian region, the importance of Pakistan is well known. Then is a global middle power by virtue of our political and economic size. I think Pakistan is in the middle of the political powers. And then we are one of a very active member of United Nations and have been elected by the UN Security Council 8 times. What are the objectives of Pakistan's foreign policy? As I just mentioned you at the beginning of my introduction, that the foreign policy is an art and behavior within the states, how they conduct themselves. As just we are standing here and you are students, you are listening to me. And I am a lecturer, I'm giving a lecture to you. So our relationship demands that you should listen to me and I should speak to you. So exactly this is how we are conducting with each other. So the conduct of nations is that how the two countries are at a bilateral level, meaning between me and you, and at a multilateral level with all of us, how we interact. So these are the 2 levels of interaction for any state, bilateral level and multilateral level. At a multilateral level, the largest forum is the United Nations, which is based in New York, Geneva, and Nairobi. These are the 3 main head stations of UN. So in UN system, all the countries' representative are sitting just like all the students from various classes are sitting here, and they discuss on different agenda items which are approved by the General Assembly and the Security Council. So and among them, the top highest decision-making forum is the Security Council. So Pakistan, by virtue of its political, strength, has been elected 8 times as a member of, and we are going to take over our 9th term from 1st of January, 2025. The objectives are, as I mentioned, friendship. The first and foremost importance of foreign relations is how to maintain our friendly relations with others. For example, you two are sitting here. If you are not in a talking terms with each other, it means there is some problem. But if you can communicate, if you can talk with each other, it means you have good relations. So the purpose of running a foreign policy is to cultivate friendly relations, making more and more friends and less enemies. But unfortunately, in the practical international situation, there are a lot of frictions. As I just mentioned you in the beginning, that most of the time the human body gets infected. What is infection? Infection is an enemy which attacks us from inside. So each time our bodies are confronted with the enemies. But immediately we rush to the doctor and the doctor gives us some medicines. What is medicine? Then, by this analogy, medicine is friend. So immediately when we take the medicine, we get healthy. We get back our strength. So the energy or the power which the medicines gives to body is a friendly power. So how the relationship are maintained by the states? Is it a friendly relationship or is it an enemy relationship? So all the time there is a fight. So we the human cannot stop the attacks of diseases. Or can we? We have seen the pandemic 19, COVID. Whole humanity was suffering from one germ, the COVID. So all humanity get together and started fighting against COVID. So this is how exactly in the same analogy, the relationship between the two states are also governed. In terms of Pakistan, the main issue of such diseases which are afflicted to the Indian subcontinent are two. One, religious identity. As I mentioned you, the division of India was based on religious identity. The Muslims separated, Hindus separated. What is Hindus? Is a religion. What is Islam? Is a religion. Look at in Israel, Jews are fighting with Muslims. So it's a religious identity. So religious identity, especially in Asia, is very strong. It has been diluted a lot in Europe and also in America. But in Asia, which is the center of 75% of the global population, the religion is the most important factor in their life. And the foreign policy objectives of Pakistan is to, after maintaining good relations, is to resolve the conflicts, is to provide some medicine for the issues which are confronted to the region. And the biggest problem in the region is Kashmir. Can you show the map? The first one? Yeah, this territory on the top. It is the most difficult disease which has been inflicted to this landmass by the name Kashmir. Why it is like that, I will explain in the next slides. Okay. Now, just cutting short, these are the external and internal challenges. As I mentioned you, the diseases are internal, or sometimes if you are not in good terms, you can punch the other. So that is an external. Either your germs are attacking you internally, or externally any aggressor can come and push you. What are you doing? Why you are standing here? This is my territory. Go away. You must have seen many fights among the dogs and cats. They maintain their territoriality because they say, this is my land. Why you are in my home? Go away. They bark. And then they send them back. So exactly, we have some external and some internal issues. As I mentioned, the biggest issue is Jammu and Kashmir between Pakistan and India. The second is India is not happy with Pakistan simply because India said that it was a division of their land, which was a land of Indian civilization for centuries. Of course, it's a big blow to it. But why? We must have seen in our own family system that once the children which are born by parents, at some stage they get separated. They do not want to stay in that home of their parents. And they said, I want to build my own home and will live according to my own desires and wishes. Very simple. So sometimes those internal conflicts also emerges within your own family, that I'm not going to stay together, but I will have my own home and own identity and own way of doing my work. Please don't interfere into my actions. So that's another internal reason. So India, by conscious understanding, has not accepted the division of the centuries-old land of Indian civilization. The third is a constant instability in our peripheral regions, like Pakistan. As I mentioned, the next door is Afghanistan, and then the next door is Iran, and the next door is China. So these are the three doors, other than the big door of India, all are very disturbed. The entire Middle East is in chaos. There is a fighting, again based on religion. So religion is a central theme in Asian politics and international relations. Internally, and last but not the least, US-China rivalry, that has also a new phenomena. Since the China has emerged as a global power, the second global power or the competing global power is not going to accept it. How you are a power? Power is with me. But the principle of power is that it never retains at your hands forever. You have to have relinquished the power once. It's a cycle. Like we were children some 10 or 15 years before. Now we are adult. And after 20 years, you will be old. And then we will be no more. It's a cycle of only 17 to 80 years. So all we are sitting here, after 80 years, we will not be here. Somebody else will be sitting here. Am I right? So this is how the cycle of civilizations also work. Civilizations come and go, die and rise. Nowadays, the civilization of China is on the rise. And the civilization, which was not practically the civilization, but the power of the United States is waning. And that's why there is a fight. There is a fight. These are the external. What is the time? How much time I have spent? I have, noticed it. It's, I would not like to take more than 30 minutes. It's exactly 30 minutes going to be. And last, internally, we have been facing problems of terrorism because the whole country has been surrounded by instabilities in the north, in the east, in the south, in the west. Sectarianism is an internal issue. There are so many shades, like we are all sitting here, some are having a different shades of thinking than the others. So these shades also create a lot of conflicts within your own self. So it's called sectarianism. So wherever the religious philosophies would be more dominant, sectarianism will automatically become as an important factor. Then some internal chaos, some internal unrest, and most important is the flight of capital. When they see that the country is not stable, the region is not stable, so whatever the earning and money and resources you earned, you try to put them at a safe places. So you take away your money back to some other places. And then the last but not least is underutilization or ill-utilization, I would say, ill-utilization of resources, bad utilization of resources. The God or the nature has given us a plenty of resources for surviving, for living a prosperous life. But those resources are confined or underutilized for a certain group of people. One group of people is using in abundance, whereas the second next door house is not using those resources in a proper order and manner. And he is asking for, please give me something. So this is a very common analysis of everyday life, that some are very rich and some are very poor and some are in the middle. So when these three classes are emerged, they create a lot of internal frictions. I have overthrown the light on the relationship on India and Pakistan, but I like to give little more explanation. Yes, this on this particular point, this is Kashmir. And as I mentioned you, that is a predominantly a Muslim majority state in India. And according to the British plan of division, the Muslim majority should go to in Pakistan and the Hindu majority should live in India. That was the only state which was a predominantly a Muslim majority state, but was given to or decided to be the part of India at that time, which was not accepted to the Pakistani population as well as the Pakistani government. So we immediately rushed to the United Nations Security Council in 1948 after the next year and said that this area should be the part of Pakistan rather than it's a part of India, because its geography connects it with Pakistan, not with India. Second, it is predominantly by the Muslims. So the principle which has been agreed upon by the British administration was that all Muslim majority areas should constitute Pakistan. So if this is the principle, then why not Kashmir? But the reason was that the Kashmir was a state. It was not British territory. It was a state within the British territory, and the states were run by the independent princes. So the Prince of Kashmir, he decided, because he was a Hindu leader, he decided to be affiliated. That was the main reason why Kashmir. So I have given a little. China are a long friends with each other, and very recently. But also India. Last point, no, relationship. Pakistan that came into it was the United States who sent an invitation letter to the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Would you like to come to America and lay the foundation of friendship? Similarly, we also got an invitation from the United Union of the Soviet Socialist Republic, but the agenda of Pakistan government was not on the communist lines. So we were anti-communist or anti-socialist at that time. So we said, United States is our natural ally, so we would extend our support to strengthen democracy in Pakistan. So we became the partner of the US democratic setup. Since then, the US has been involved in the Pakistani internal politics and is like yours, you are the immediate neighbors. We are far off, but very close to the American. And that's why more than 1 million Pakistanis are living in America. Not in the next stage is Mexico. So we have a lot of military, socioeconomic, and cultural interaction with the US. Now the last slide is the relationship with Mexico. I have given the foundation of our relationship, excellent relationship based on scientific collaboration. And I, as an ambassador, is still putting a lot of emphasis on our scientific collaboration. In between the scientific, one layer of the scientific collaboration is also the educational collaboration and interaction. So that's why I'm here on the invitation of Professor Fausto, and I'm grateful. With these words, I think I should give opportunity to you people to ask questions for your wider, better understanding of the foreign policy of Pakistan. Thank you.
Dear Ambassador, thank you for your presentation. Sorry for the technical problems. Thank you for show us the history details about Pakistan and India. India too. The presentation of general of Pakistan, economic and military and foreign policy. For us, it's now important to hear about foreign policy because we are interested in international relations, and especially foreign policy objectives. I think Mexico shares some objectives with Pakistan, absolutely international cooperation. It's good to me hear that we are together in scientific topic like some with so to this is important for us heard about the challenges, especially in relation with China and US, and the hot topic, Cachemira.
Yes.
It's sometimes for us to is theories. Okay. Now we are going to have the feedback from Professor Jacobo Silva. He is a special in this topic. Jacobo. ¿Cuánto tiempo tengo? Minutos. Perfecto, no hay problema. Muchas gracias. Your Excellency, shukriya. It was a very nice presentation. No problem. Anyway, vamos a hablar en español nada más para que en el programa podamos, digamos, tener una visión un poquito más clara, y además tengo que darles un feedback más rápido. ¿De acuerdo? En primera, vaya que ha sido una presentación muy interesante y sobre todo el embajador les ha dado una breve semblanza acerca de lo que es la historia de Pakistán y su política exterior. A mí nada más me gustaría puntualizar algunos elementos y hacer una pequeña, porque no podemos extendernos tanto, digamos, evaluación de lo que ha sido. Y además darles un poquito más de información. Pakistán además es un país que yo creo que a veces es tan alejado, y en América Latina en particular, en México, tenemos demasiada información acerca de lo que es la historia de América del Norte y Europa, que realmente esta parte de Asia la dejamos a veces un poco de lado. No sé si sienten algo así, puede ser. En fin, la cosa es que en el caso de Pakistán, imagínense, es un lugar donde llegó en algún momento Alejandro Magno, llegaron los persas, hubo reinos indo-griegos, llegaron las tribus centroasiáticas. Incluso vamos a ver que hay una interacción muy interesante con Afganistán y con Persia, cuando ya llegan las formaciones políticas musulmanas propiamente dicho. Es decir, es una región del mundo donde ha llegado bastante gente, donde ha habido una gran interacción entre distintos pueblos, distintas naciones, distintas formas de pensar, de creer e incluso distintas formas de hablar. Creo que además una de las características más importantes, y por eso doy ese pequeño breviario histórico rapidísimo, es porque además hay una riqueza cultural y lingüística además en Pakistán muy importante. Pese a que si bien el urdu es tal vez la lengua más hablada, es incluso yo con una lengua franca dentro de lo que es Pakistán, porque además en Pakistán se hablan muchas otras lenguas. Por ejemplo, el embajador estudió en la Universidad del Punjab, donde evidentemente se habla panjabí. Pero así como el panjabí, hay muchas otras lenguas dentro de Pakistán. Y también, igualmente, una riqueza religiosa. Es cierto, hay muchos, o más bien la mayoría de las personas que viven en Pakistán son musulmanas, pero también podemos encontrar pequeñas minorías religiosas que también están ahí asentadas. Incluso hay importantes, ya lo dijo usted, importantes centros de culto Sikh. ¿De acuerdo? Que no se diga porque tal vez le sonó que era Sikh como de enfermo en inglés, no, Sikh. Sikh. Sikh igualmente son una comunidad importante. Por ello mismo, creo yo, hay que tomar en cuenta que Pakistán es más allá incluso del conflicto en Cachemira, que sí es importante y define varias de las cosas que son o que es Pakistán, pero Pakistán va mucho más allá, sobre todo en lo que se refiere a la cultura. Ya hablando de lo que es Pakistán y la política exterior de Pakistán, hay que también entender una cosa. Cuando habla el embajador de que Pakistán e India nacen juntos, además Pakistán oriental y occidental, hay que tomar en cuenta eso. Pakistán nace siendo un país con dos territorios separados, una cosa muy rara. Pero además teniendo en medio a India. Y entonces además es un país que nace de esta cosa llamada la partición, que es un evento muy, sonará fácil decirlo, es la división y nada más la partición de un territorio entre musulmanes e hindúes. Pero fue muchísimo más profundo ese proceso y sobre todo muy violento al mismo tiempo. Igualmente vamos a ver que cuando nacen India y Pakistán hay una serie de migraciones, violencia, matanzas, es un trauma. En ese sentido nace Pakistán e India y nace, insisto, Pakistán como este país con dos territorios separados. Obviamente nace, e imagínense ustedes, ¿qué es lo que hay que hacer? Tienes a India, que es un país con el que compartes una gran e importante tu amigo. Además, del otro lado tienes a Afganistán, que tampoco es propiamente tu amigo. Las relaciones afgano-pakistaníes son complicadas, no son tan sencillas como decir, claro, son amigos. No, no es tan sencillo como eso. Y además tienes a Irán, un país que obviamente dejó una impronta cultural en todo el sur de Asia desde hace mucho tiempo, incluso el urdu, así como se habla. Algunas personas dirán, es que es una combinación entre persa y sánscrito y una cosa de acá y una cosa de allá. Lo cierto es que incluso en la lengua, en esta lengua muy hablada, también vemos varias palabras y unos sonidos también muy persas, de hecho, pero no sin dejar una verdadera diferencia. Y obviamente un sabor a Pakistán, que es incluso esta lengua que es realmente muy musical. Más allá de ello, insisto, entonces tienes a Irán, que Irán, yo sé que es un elemento importante, bueno, no tal vez definitorio, pero Irán ustedes saben que es un país musulmán, pero con mayoría chií. Pakistán es con mayoría suní. Insisto, esto no es como, y se van a pelear, no, pero es un elemento que tiene que ver, es importante tenerlo en cuenta. Entonces, naces con no buenas relaciones de los dos lados. Al menos al principio no tan buenas, porque además deben recordar que Afganistán se alía con, o al menos tiene una relación interesante y compleja con la Unión Soviética. Igualmente, India tiene una relación muy próxima eventualmente a la Unión Soviética. ¿Y qué le queda a Pakistán? Estados Unidos, porque Estados Unidos también tiene una relación desde este momento con Pakistán. Le parece interesante, le parece que puede ser un aliado. Pero además Pakistán tiene también a de pronto, país que de hecho no tiene grandes o empieza a no tener tantas buenas relaciones con la Unión Soviética, que es China. Ustedes dirán, bueno, ¿y eso qué? Ustedes recuerdan muy bien, estudiantes de Relaciones Internacionales, que precisamente fue con Nixon y particularmente Kissinger, con el que se da esta alineación, podríamos decir, entre Estados Unidos y China. Este acercamiento. Bueno, ustedes no están para saberlo, ni yo para contarlo, pero Pakistán tuvo un papel muy importante en ese tipo de conversaciones. Pakistán era el aliado de la región de Estados Unidos. Eventualmente, lo ha dicho muy bien el embajador, las relaciones cambian y podemos ver que va a haber altibajos. La relación, creo yo, obviamente, por eso la expuso el embajador, tal vez la más importante ahorita es China, por lo que significa China. Y sobre todo este proyecto del corredor económico, que además, en serio, es una cosa bien interesante, prácticamente es cruzar el país de norte a sur, y además darle, digamos, una salida al mar, porque además eso es importante para Pakistán, tiene una salida al mar Arábigo a través del puerto de Modera. Entonces, dentro de esto ustedes dirían, bueno, está muy bien, Pakistán tiene un hombro muy sólido, es China, pero ustedes, siendo internacionalistas, dejarían, digamos, todas sus monedas o todo con China. China sería nada más con quien ustedes tendrían relaciones. Ese es el gran dilema de Pakistán, que tiene que verse en un entorno, en una vecindad no tan cómoda, pero además tiene que estar viendo si es Estados Unidos o China. Ahí está el gran punto. ¿Cómo equilibran eso? Tiene que equilibrarse y además tener una relación, no nada más cuando hablo de Estados Unidos es, bueno, es que Estados Unidos a veces me quiere ahí porque soy un buen aliado y cuando tiene una guerra, ya saben, o hay alguien que tenga ahí una guerra, cuando la Unión Soviética eventualmente invade Afganistán, bueno, ¿con quién contaba Estados Unidos en la región? Con Pakistán. Pero además no olvidar, Pakistán fue parte de SEATO y de CENTO, alianzas militares durante Guerra Fría. Ese es mi punto. Pareciera que a veces Estados Unidos solo quiere Pakistán cuando hay una guerra, un conflicto o cuando necesita a alguien de confianza en la región. Por eso mismo, algunos teóricos han dicho que Pakistán necesita más bien una política exterior de cobertura, de mejores relaciones con Estados Unidos, tratar de hacer que el ámbito económico sea más atractivo que el militar y el político, y al mismo tiempo tener una buena relación con China económica que le permita pues tener proyectos, la verdad, de infraestructura importantes. Ustedes han visto en las noticias, por ejemplo, este año y el año pasado, cómo las lluvias y las inundaciones han afectado al país. Cambio climático. En ese sentido, ¿qué hacen? ¿A quién se van? Pues piden ayuda a los aliados que tienen. Pero si China y Estados Unidos están peleando, lo interesante que es esto, este país, insisto, es mucho más allá del conflicto con Cachemira. Tiene que verse además esta dimensión geopolítica global. Y es cierto, ahí es donde está el gran dilema. ¿Qué hacer? ¿Cómo hacerle? Evidentemente también América Latina es parte de esta estrategia, es decir, podemos además ser un punto para tratar de diversificar las relaciones y creo yo que además, ya para terminar, uno de los puntos que debe todavía Pakistán sacarle más provecho es un poco a su poder suave. Si yo les digo que Pakistán es uno de los principales participantes en operaciones de mantenimiento de la paz, tal vez no me lo crean. Pues sí, es de los primeros 6 países que dan más personal a operaciones de mantenimiento de la paz. Soldados que hacen la paz. Eso es importante en el mundo. Y además tiene una riqueza cultural a la cual creo que hace falta visibilizar más y darle mayor proyección. Más allá de la música, insisto, las lenguas, la literatura. Es una tierra de poetas, es una tierra de literatura. También tiene muchísimos problemas de inestabilidad política, no lo vamos a negar. Pero insisto, sí quiero que tengan en la mente que el país es más allá que simplemente ser un paso, es, digamos, estar en medio de un sándwich entre Afganistán, Irán y por el otro lado, India. Ahí lo dejaría yo. Muchas gracias, Jacobo, por esta retroalimentación. Creo que expande los detalles sobre Pakistán, incorpora la variable geopolítica, la relación con los vecinos. Esto de la vecindad complicada es como la vecindad del Chavo del 8, pues muy complicada. Como decía el señor embajador, le gustaría tener una retroalimentación, un intercambio con los y las estudiantes, así que podríamos recoger 4 preguntas y hacer un segundo ciclo de preguntas. Si ustedes desean hacerlas en inglés o en español, Fernando está ayudando con la traducción. Pero sí nos gustaría que ahora que se ha expuesto Pakistán como potencia media, como un país nuclear, esto de las contribuciones a las operaciones de mantenimiento para la paz. Recuerden que Pakistán e India tuvieron una de las primeras operaciones de mantenimiento para la paz en la región de Cachemira, y además el tema cultural, el tema étnico que Jacobo retomó. Entonces, estimados estudiantes, el micrófono es de ustedes, y Genaro por ahí nos puede ayudar con el micrófono. Aquí tenemos una primera pregunta, 2, 3 y 4 nos quedamos allá, y 5 con el compañero, y después volvemos a plantear otra ronda de preguntas. Adelante.
Hi, my question is, I didn't get which are the internal sectors that are affected by the rivalry between US and China. Which one are the internal affectations?
What was clear? Or again,
asking about US-China relationship. US-China relations in the modern political context, grown up after China was recognized as a full member of the UN Security Council or UN member. You know, when China applied to the UN system that I am the China People's Republic of China, the United States said no. You are not the representative of 1 billion people, but a small island of the size of Belize in your neighborhood is called Taiwan. They give, this is China. Is it fair? No, my question to you, is it fair?
Yeah.
No. It is not fair. If I may say, again, I'll try to give more examples to you for your more better comprehension and understanding. I'm Shozab, and if I may say, this is my hair. This is Shozab. Would you believe it? No. So same analogy, China and Taiwan. From 1948, when China came into a liberated country after his long war, till 1972, China was not given the seat in the UN system. It was Taiwan. And the whole scheme of work was American. Because we, from the developing countries, see the UN system is predominantly controlled by the US. Although there are 5 permanent powers with having a veto power among them, but the China was not there. It was, now I'm giving you another reason of a very close fraternity and friendship between Pakistan and China. It was Pakistan who introduced China in the United Nations system to avail the seat in the UN Security Council as a People's Republic of China. So Pakistan since then has been the closest ally of PRC. So you are asking now the Chinese and the US rivalry with this background, and you know how much population China has? 1.36 billion. And how much the US has? 330 million. A country with 1.36 billion, some 30 years before, was completely full of poor people. You go and you will find not a single car on the streets of Beijing some 30, 40 years before. Not a single car. And now everything is being produced by China. So see the revolution which has taken place in that country. And that revolution is actually the manifestation of their internal unity as a one nation, one. Two, the power of 1.3 billion people. If we all stand here and if 5 people come here in this corner and the whole group would be on that corner, which is powerful? 5 or the whole? The bigger one, not the 5 people. So example is that demographic power or the people's power is also a very important component in foreign relations. You cannot ignore 1.3 billion people. And if 1.3 billion people 30 years before were not recognized as a member of the UN Security Council, was not the part of the UN system, and were very poor, that you could hardly find any car on the streets of the Beijing, is now ruling the world, offering unconditional grants to every country. Said, okay, well, they came to Pakistan, what's your problem? You are the first friend. Those who raised the flag of China in UN. And now they're very indebted to us. And they are the people of, good nature, and they return with more and more to the others, those who have done good for them. So Pakistan was one of them. So your question, that this rivalry is actually the Americans are not going to recognize, Americans are not going to accept the Chinese power. And that is the main conflict within the US system. Very simple solution for any difficult issue is to recognize the issue first. If you would not recognize the problem, if you could not identify the problem, you will keep on fighting with it. Understand? So the American system is fighting within itself by not accepting and recognizing the power of the People's Republic of China. Simple. So this would not bring a positive results in the global international relations domain. And it will keep on creating a lot of friction, fightings, and trying to align the people from this end, you come with me, and this end, and you come with me, but it will not work.
Good afternoon. My name is Maria Paula, and first of all, thank you so much for this great presentation.
Thank you so much.
And it's a similar question to the one to my
Yes.
Since Pakistan has good relations with both China and the US, how does the rivalry affect Pakistan's foreign affairs and its general position in the international context?
Rivalry of who?
China and the US. Yeah.
Yes. Again, as I told you that the foreign relationing, maintaining friendly relations is the principal theme of foreign policy. How a country actually, keeping all the factors into consideration, maintains its relations with everybody. I'm here and you are more than 100 students. It's now my skill and my knowledge and my understanding how to maintain a relationship as a group and then as an individual. If I am skillful in maintaining such partnership, such a relationship, I would be considered as a successful or good person having a good relations. So similarly, Pakistan is also conducting its foreign policy in a balance that America should not be angry with Pakistan, nor China should be annoyed with Pakistan. This equilibrium, this balance for a country which has a 330 million people with 350 billion GDP, engulfed by so many negative forces. The biggest one is India itself. So, for example, when we are going to build good relations with our neighbors, Afghanistan, which is a big problem in our region, and Pakistan says, okay, we are not going to help Afghanistan because Afghanistan has been a center of terrorism in the world. You know what India does? India says, okay, if Pakistan is not going, we will help Afghanistan. So they immediately rush in. Americans, when after 9/11, they said that we are coming to Afghanistan for an attack. And to make an attack on Afghanistan, we need a passage from Pakistan. The government discussed this issue in the parliament, and the first reaction was that we are not going to allow territory to be used against Afghanistan. To keep healthy and friendly relations with Afghanistan, because they are our neighbors. In response to this policy option, India immediately offered to America that we will provide all logistic supports to you. Don't worry. Pakistan is now scared and it is under pressure. So if India, which is not immediate neighbor of Afghanistan, can give a passage to the American forces or the NATO forces to come into Afghanistan, it would be a great security risk for Pakistan. So immediately we turned our consideration back and said, no, we will provide them, because it was a decision by the UN Security Council. So this is a balancing act. How to make? First, we would not like to give our land, our territory, our soil to a foreign forces to come and attack on our neighbor. No. And in Pakistan, there is a big division on it. The last Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, he was the one who supported this idea that what Pakistan is, this is Pakistan, it's not Pakistan's war. It is American war against Afghans. And we are not Afghans' enemies, we are Afghans' friends. Because of our relations, our culture, our families, they're all living across the borders. Why should we be the part of that war, which is American war? When we took this position, and India said that we are Americans' partner. So whatever logistical or military support is needed, we will provide you. You means NATO, America. Then immediately Pakistan has to change its stance, keeping in view the foreign policy perspective, that no, it is against the interest of the country, and we will provide them. So then, and that action now is a main hurdle in maintaining the good relations with Afghanistan. Because Afghanistan has been accusing Pakistan that why you have given this passage to Americans. So they are not happy with us. And there is a constant war on our border between Afghanistan and Pakistan. And our whole territory along the border is disturbed. And there are many military operations inside Pakistan to kill the supporters of Afghanistan's terrorism. But it is very, very difficult. So, my dear, maintaining a balanced relationship is a very skillful art. You cannot annoy the one who is sitting behind you for the sake of the pleasure of the one who is sitting in front of you. You cannot. I think it's enough. I spoke without mic. You also.
legislative power.
Okay. Pakistan is a democratic country by definition, although we have been ruled for half of our life by the military dictators. By Ayub Khan from 58 to 68, then Ziaul Haq from 78 to 88, and then Pervez Musharraf from 1999 to 1999 to 2009. 7, sorry. So it's around half of our life has been spent under the dictators, military dictators, and half by the democratic setup. So principally, constitutionally, the book says that every decision should be made inside the parliament with but I would not say that the democracy in Pakistan is perfect. It is not. And we need to do a lot of work on it. Exactly define the powers within the state. Practically, under the chapter, under the constitution, the state power is divided into 3 domains. One is the legislature, the second is the executive, and the third is judiciary. They're all doing their work side by side, but what you said, that the power dynamics are mostly in the hands of military of Pakistan. So, meaning many decisions which are taken inside the parliament are sometimes opposed by the military. So you say that no, these are not the options available to the parliamentarians. They have to have considered many other important factors. As I mentioned you, that the foreign policy is a very delicate balance of so many ingredients inside and outside, internal factors and external factors. So if externally you are encircled by so many threats, then internally you cannot simply say that this is my desire and fill it because the loss is like this. Then you have to make some changes, tailor-made changes to bring positive results and execute a balanced foreign policy. So I would say that yes, in a democratic dispensation, the parliament has been dictating and guiding the people that how the interest of the country needs to be protected, but that is not the sole element in decision-making process. Some other important elements or institutions, among them the military's top one, is also taken into consideration, and then with the whole process of consultation within the 3 pillars of the state, they take the decisions. So decision-making process is a very complicated issue, and particularly where the power is not balanced or where the power boundaries are not properly defined. So I would say that these are the complications within our system, but the external factors are a major contributor in this setup, in this constitution. And I would say that Parliament, to some extent, is given very right decisions, very pertinent decisions, which are closer to the heart of the people. They are not sometimes accepted by the other elements of the society, of the state. So there need to be some compromises on that. And compromising is also the part of the skillful manipulation of foreign policy. If you do not do the compromises, for example, the next person, as I mentioned again and again, is not your friend. But since he is sitting with you and you cannot change the sitting right now in such a big external pressure that people will say why he is moving in at the time the person is giving lectures. He must sit down properly without disturbing others. So you will compromise his presence next to you. So again, I'm trying to give you the examples from everyday life. What the life is being led at our home, it's the mega picture is our country. So whatever you have been doing at home is actually the reflection at the state level by the state with others. Never forget it. When I was young like you, I was thinking that what kind of a talks the Prime Minister and President would be doing with each others? It would be difficult to understand. But when I came to this position, I said, they're also talking like me. A child. No, I would not accept it. Why? Because I don't like it. And then the external people said, you have to do it. Do it now. Okay, sir. So these are external pressures and internal compromises. It's a combination of pressures and compromises. And finally, then you articulate something. This is the conduct of foreign policy. So don't think that they're thinking very Aristotle is sitting inside the parliaments and inside the presidencies. They're as ordinary as we all are. Human beings are all same. All same. Leaders are born once in a century. They might have an acumen of so many people together. If the acumen of 1,000 people is accumulated, then maybe that one person. But that one person comes in centuries. Normally, we are all affairs are conducted in a normal way, as we have been doing at our grassroots level at our homes. So whatever you are doing at your home, the state is doing the same thing at top.
Verifica si está prendido.
Editor, I'm free. Until the students are tired.
A capella.
Their tiredness level is shorter because they want multiple activities to do. And mine is not that.
Había otro micrófono, Genaro.
Anyone who wants to ask the question? Please, you can stand up and then raise the question. What is Pakistan? I'm unable to understand you. You have to little louder. Little louder, please. Yes. Say it again. Yes. Yeah, of course. That is, the reply I can, even if I'm sleeping, I can give the same reply without considering it, that Pakistan is linked, associated with the freedom and independence of Palestine. Thank you.
How Pakistan has dealt with anti-Muslim campaign from the Indian government.
Okay. Anti-Muslim, yes. In India. Actually, if you look into the history of Indian composition, India has been ruled for more than 1,000 years. Not one, not two, not five, not 10, not 20. More than 1,000 years by Muslims. That's the very important factor to understand the Indian culture. Meaning, when Islam emerges in Arabian Peninsula, in Saudi Arabia, time days, present day Saudi Arabia, and the Prophet Muhammad said that I am the prophet of God, like the prophet Jesus, like the prophet Moses. I'm also the prophet of Allah. And the message of my religion is one, only one, that there is no God but Allah, but God. So we are all the Christians, Muslims, and Jews. We are all monotheists. We are Abrahamic religions. Our father was Abraham. So this idea of Islam was introduced in a multi-god system in India in the 8th century. 8th century, 711. Exact date was 711 AD, when Islam introduced in India by the merchants, those who were traveling from Arabian Peninsula to India. So within the span of 1,000 years, 25% of the population of India, those who were Hindus earlier, converted to Islam. And then from outside, particularly from Afghanistan, present day Afghanistan and the Central Asia, many people came from those lands, entered into India and established their rule. And those Central Asians or Afghanis, they ruled India for more than 1,000 years. And once India, when the British came in 1757, they got the complete occupation of India in 1857, after 100 years. And they took over the power, the British took over the power from Muslims, not from Hindus. So this is a general understanding about the Indian geopolitical analysis, how you would understand India. A country predominantly by Hindus, ruled by Muslims, established the Muslim identity and converted 25% of the local population to Islam. So this is an overall picture. Now, after that, in 1947, the migration took place between the borders, because earlier we were sitting like this, but on 14th August 1947, one person whose name was Britain, he drew the line and said that this is Pakistan, this is India. Now he said, okay, anybody who's Muslim may come to the Muslim bloc, which is now Pakistan. So people from this side started migrating to this side. And the people from this group, those who were Indian, they migrated to this side. And their number was 10 million, not a small number. So in this background, the communal conflict is still going on in India. And there is still 220 million Muslims living in India. You cannot eliminate them. But unfortunately, your question from this point, that 15 years before, Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, he became the ruler in India on the premise that Hinduism should be revived because Muslims have polluted the Hindu dharma, Hindu religion. So we need to internally purify India by excluding the Muslims from the mainstream. Now, exactly 220 million Muslims living in India were excluded in the corner. They were thrown out of Indian socio-political setup. And Hindutva, it's a word which is used by the BJP or Bharatiya Janata Party's current Prime Minister Modi's government. The philosophy is called Hindutva. What is Hindutva? That if you are Hindu, you have the right to live in India. If you are not Hindu, leave India. So with these sentiments, the internal cohesion of India has been in danger. And the Indian Muslims, their rights, their fundamental rights especially, they are being usurped. And that is why the Kashmiri Muslims, they're also asking for their rights of self-determination. They said we wanted to determine ourselves that whether we would be India or Pakistan. But the Indian government says, no, you're my part. Whereas the UN Security Council resolution says that the case of Kashmir is disputed and it has to be decided by a referendum in which the people of Kashmir will decide whether they would like to be Indian or Pakistani. So in general, in total, the people, Muslim identity people living in India are in danger. Just like the Palestinians, those who are living in Palestine, the land was originally called Palestine since Abraham's day. When Prophet Abraham was living in Palestine, the territory was known as Palestine, not Israel. Who was Israel? Israel was the children of Jacob. 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 In Arabic, it is called Jacob. They are the children of Jacob. And they were, persecuted by Egyptians, the Pharaoh, and they killed them. Then Allah or God sent Moses among them and ordered Moses to go into Egypt and rescue them, take them to the safe places. And then Moses went into Egypt and rescued the whole Israelites, the children of Jacob, and brought them into Palestine. And they were settled there. But the original land was Palestine. And now, if in the present context, that originality or original territory by the original people is snatched by the Israelites, Israelis. They have been living there for centuries together. Because as I said, that Abrahamic religion, 3, Jews, Christians, and Muslims, they were all living together side by side because their God was one. They were all worshipped the same God. But they created hatred among themselves. And this is the result of hatred in Palestine, that they are not going to accept the Muslims. Same hatred is existed in India versus Muslims. That is why the Pakistan came into being, because we would not like to be treated hatredly by the majority of the people. So we say, okay, if you are in majority and we are in minority, then we would like to live separately. As I mentioned in my preamble, that a family, the children born in the same family, my boys, my daughters, at the elder stage, they get, okay, Papa, I would not stay with you. I would go and have a separate home. So on similar analogy, Pakistani said that we cannot live, or Muslims said, in fact, we cannot live in hatred. We cannot live in discrimination. We cannot live in an environment where our dignity is at stake. The most fundamental human right is the self-respect. If you are not being respected by your neighbors, by the people living in front of you, the people living in back of you, if they are not respecting you, you are in danger. Your identity is in danger. So that became the source of reason for the division of India. And still the majority effect is pronounced in Indian politics. And they said, we are Hindus. If you are Muslim, please leave the country. So in these circumstances, in this situation, one single soul or a soul who are in minority cannot live. So I would appreciate your understanding that the Modi's government, the Bharatiya Janata government, the Hindutva concept of philosophy is not workable. It is a philosophy of hatred, and hatred must be condemned by all.
Ya no hay micrófono, a capela. ¿Quién más había levantado la mano atrás?
You want to ask some question?
Estas tres, vamos a dejar 1, 2, 3 y 4, 5 allá atrás.
Yeah. She also wants to ask the question.
No, just I'm giving attention.
You want to have a question?
You have a question? No?
No, she's over. Sophia. Yes. Very common name in Pakistan as well. Yes.
What are the principal challenges, not for the foreign interests or the state, but for Pakistani citizens or other territorial communities?
Can you open up the Kashmir point?
Yes, and also how does the government of Pakistan help
With this issue? You see, this yellow part and the red part, these are the two parts of Indian Kashmir, which are under the Indian occupation. This is called Ladakh. It is predominantly a Buddhist country. And then Kashmir. But Ladakh population is only 5% of the total population. It is all high Himalayan Karakoram mountains. So population is very thin. But Kashmir is the valley, like Mexico City is a valley. And it's so many houses of so many people living in this country. So Kashmir is also a valley. It is inhabiting now currently 10 million people. And the pink color is under the control of Pakistan. And this was happened when 1947, Pakistan came. Immediately, the Raja of Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir, it is called Jammu and Kashmir, not Kashmir only. Jammu is the lower city, if you can see in the down, is Jammu. It's also it's a Hindu-dominated city, in fact. So the state's Raja is different than the Kashmir Raja. So Jammu is not Muslim, it's a Hindu. And the first Prime Minister of India, Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, who was the founding father of India, was from Jammu. And then later on, his daughter, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, she was also from Jammu. So they're the Jammu Pandits. Pandits are the highest caste in Hindu system. Hindu sociology divides the humanity into 4 dharmas or 4 sections. The highest are called Pandit or Brahman. So Nehru was Brahman. So he was the highest caste. Then the second caste are the Kashtaris, those who are responsible for taking the defense of the country. The third are Vaishnavas, those who are responsible for the catering of food to the others. And the last 4th are Shudra, the menial jobs. And you cannot by definition enter into the second section. So if you are born as a meager, low caste, you will always remain in the low caste. If you are born the high caste, you will always remain in the high caste. So it's a system, it's a sociological system of the Hindu culture, which was actually defeated by the Buddhists. Mahatma Gautam Buddha, he said this is wrong, it's a discrimination, it's against the human rights. And same is Islam. Islam said no, all humans are equal in the eyes of God, except those who are more pious. So the reason of your superiority, not in the eyes of human beings, but in the eyes of God, is your piety. Piety. You understand piety? No. Being pious. How would you say in Spanish? Pious. P-I-O-U-S. Piety. Meaning you have to be away from sins. Do not commit or do not cross the red lines which God has given to you. If you cross the red line, you are no piety. So in the eyes of God, the theory of Islam and also the theory of Christianity as well as the Judaism, that you need to be very close to God. And how to be close to God? Not cross the red lines which God has given to you. If you remain within the red lines, you're pious. If you cross it, you're unpious. So the piety, the word comes piety, means that you are not indulging yourself into the actions and behavior which is not liked by God. So it's a set of principles which he has given to us. And we are all living our life according to that. The fundamental thing is life. The family. In family, you have parents and parents as children. And the commandment says that you have to be obedient to your parents. That was written in the 10 commandments which God has given to Moses. And the same were given to Jesus, and the same was inherited to Muhammad. So it's a one principle of piety. So just for your clarity. Again, come back. So I'm sorry, I go here and there, but I'm willing to give you some knowledge. So that part, the pink part, when they decided, the Raja of Kashmir, when he decided that I would not be with the Pakistan because I'm Hindu, so he immediately called to the Indian Prime Minister at that time. He gave a telephone call, please send your troops to Kashmir and save us, because I would not like to be the part of Pakistan. And he wrote a letter which is called Letter of Accession. And the letter of accession was saying that I would like to affiliate with India. And the Indian government should protect me. So Indian government, Nehru's government, or National Congress government sent army to Kashmir. In response to that army, the local people living along this border, which is now white, where Pakistan is written, the ordinary people without guns and fires, they rushed on them. And they occupied the territory which is now pink. The pink capital was in the red, Srinagar. The moment we were about to reach to Srinagar, meaning the Muslims of this side, Indian government rushed to the Security Council because Srinagar was about to fall. And they said, please, please, international help is needed in this crisis. And immediately they said, they announced a ceasefire. And we were only, you can say, about to get Kashmir by falling Srinagar, when the Americans and particularly the USSR, they intervened and said that there must be some solution to it. And the whole scheme since 1948 till now is in the doldrum, is in the coffins. The territory which we could gain by our physical force, we gained it. The rest, where the international politics came in, there is a standstill. So this line, now the line is called line of control. On this side of the line of control and that side of the line of control, 700,000 troops are stationed since 1948. And this line is being observed by the United Nations Commission, which is called UNMIOGP, United Nations Monitoring Observer Group between India and Pakistan. And Mexican Army regularly send one observer to this group. So that's also at one very good understanding between the two countries, Pakistan and Mexico. And by the way, Pakistan and Mexico are on the same line, on the same footing for the reforms of the UN Security Council agenda. The same page, meaning your position is against the position of India, which is our position in the UN system. So you do not want the veto powers. For more veto powers, you want expansion without veto powers. And we also want expansion without veto powers. So our position is same. And there is one alliance within the UN system, which is called Coffee Club. And Pakistan and Mexico and Italy, these are the three founding fathers of that club. And the UN Security Council politics is revolving around that. Because every time the five power says we are going to reform the Security Council. Where are the reforms? we want to give more veto powers to some others. Which are those? India, no. And then the second comes Japan. China says no. Then third comes Germany. We want UK say no. And the Brazil, Mexico say no. So there's a lot of tug of war is going in the Security Council system. But anyhow, the point was that Pakistan has been trying to maintain that line of control, and we wish that this issue can be resolved according to the UN Security Council's resolution of 1948. But India says, on my dead body.
El tiempo apremia, ustedes saben que tienen clase y luego hay otro evento en este auditorio, siempre tratamos de terminar 5 minutos antes para que se puedan hacer los cambios. Y siempre cuando hay un invitado queremos tomarnos la foto con el invitado. We want to take a picture with you at the end.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Gracias a Jacobo por estar con nosotros. Muchísimas gracias. Jacobo, quien...
May I ask one question to them?
Yes, of course.
My question.
How much understanding you have built in this 1.5-hour session about Pakistan? Clever. So now it is not an unknown country to all of you. You know it. The Embassy of Pakistan is here, as I said, since 1972. And make your plan to visit Pakistan. It is a safe country. It's like many countries are in the radar of propaganda by others. Your country is also one of them. And Pakistan is a beautiful country, loving people, and very delicious food like yours. So if you plan to visit holidays around, make plan. I'm not saying you should not go to India. You can go, but you're most welcome to Pakistan.
Gracias.